Shabbat Shalom, everyone. First of all, thank you to all those who gave to our Expansion 2022 campaign. It was an incredible day of giving, which we surpassed our goals, and we'll be able to soon expand our playground and rooftop and preschool, God willing, deep into 2022. It's a very special Shabbos week, Shabbos Parshat Vayigash. And so we have probably one of the climax of the greatest meetings that happen in the Torah between Jacob and Joseph. Joseph is Jacob's child who he loses from his first wife, his wife that he's celebrating, his wife that he loves, and the wife he worked for. And his brothers bring his tunic full of blood, and they say, a wild animal ate this boy, and you recognize it. Hakirnam. And of course, Jacob knew this was the technicolor tunic that he gave him, but he wouldn't accept his death. And he mourned for him for 22 years. He never stopped mourning, not just out of loss, but out of not physically being able to accept the fact that he didn't see him pass away and wasn't able to bury his son. And so there was some small hope in his deepest of hearts that possibly Joseph was still alive. And now Joseph is coming to meet with Jacob. He comes to meet with Jacob in Goshen, and it says Joseph puts his head on his shoulder and starts to cry. And he starts to cry on Jacob's shoulders, but it doesn't say anything in Torah what Jacob does, which is very strange because generally the Torah mentioned in all other meetings about both parties partaking in this emotional process. Previously, right before this, Benjamin and Joseph, two brothers, only two siblings, when Joseph reveals himself to Benjamin, they cry on each other's shoulders. And it says in the Medrash that they cry on each other's shoulders, A, out of the tremendous emotion of that moment, or B, because of the holy temples in each one's area which will eventually be destroyed. And therefore they cried on each other's shoulders. We see another encounter, and that's between Jacob and Esav. They're not lovers, they're brothers though. And even though they're not, they don't get along at a certain point, Esav was trying to kill Jacob. When they meet, they are then hugging and kissing and loving each other. But over here, by Jacob, he shows no emotion. Or at least in the Torah, it doesn't say that he shows any emotion. But the nuances in the Torah are very important, and the details of what we learned. And so the Medrash says, there's some rabbis explain, is that Joseph was saying the Shema. And so he, right at this moment, he had to say the Shema. I mean, why would he start to say the Shema at this moment? The reality is that you have the morning to say Shema, the evening to say Shema. Yes, you're not allowed to interrupt Shema, but it's such an emotional moment. He was saying the Shema. But the answer the Rebbe explained something much deeper. And that is at this moment, it wasn't that he was saying Shema and ignoring his son, God forbid, who came after 22 years. But he was giving his son something that he will be able to forever remember this moment. See, a hug and a kiss is something so incredible, and sometimes we think about that first kiss and that first hug, and that emotional bond that we have with someone that we love. But ultimately, that kiss and hug is not something that we can actually physically or spiritually hold on to. What Jacob was giving to Joseph was something very powerful, something that he can give over to his children and his children's children. And that is the words of Shema Yisrael. The words of that, I believe in Hashem and thank you Hashem. I have no other God besides Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, the God is one. He tells him that this is how you're going to always remember this moment, this miraculous time that we are now celebrating together, which I thought you were dead for 22 years. We're going to remember this from your children and your children's children and your children's children. You're going to forever remember this moment and relive this moment because I'm giving you at this moment the Shema Yisrael. And that is why Jacob at that moment said Shema Yisrael. It's a very powerful idea. It's an idea of sometimes, yes, of course, we have emotions, and sometimes we're quick to do something which is nice, but something that is temporary, something that we can't give over for the future, is exactly what it is, temporary. Let's think about something that we can give to our children that's permanent, that's something that's eternal. The love for Hashem, the Torah of Hashem, the Shabbat for Hashem, something that they could take on. They say, this is why we love our parents. We love our parents because everything they did for us. But we also remember the time that they sat next to us in the synagogue. We also remember the time that they sat with us in Shabbat dinner. We also said the time when he taught us how to put on tefillin. And this is the tefillin that my grandfather gave me and I could put on every single day, memorializing him. That is something in which we are ready to, that is something that we can eternally remember. And so Shabbat Shalom, everyone. hopefully we will remember this Shabbos and this Parsha and take it to heart. Tonight, 6 o'clock, tomorrow at 10 a.m.